Hopefully we won't get ripped apart for our takes on the Dolphins quarterback, but I digress.
You know what? If you want to, if people want to rip us, let's go ahead. Like, I'm more than happy to. I mean, you know, I haven't. I'm on, I guess, some different Facebook groups, you know, about the Dolphins, like their fan page or whatever else. And so I'll read comments about different stuff, and it's hilarious to me. Like, some of the stuff I see, I'm like, yep, that makes sense. Some of it I see, I'm like, you guys just don't, you know. Anyway, we can get into it, but.
Okay, so the Dolphins had a win against the Patriots yesterday. Won at home. I think it was, if you saw any of the highlights from not only the Dolphins game but the University of Miami game, it was quite hot at the Dolphins Stadium. I think it was over 100 degrees.
They both share the stadium, so.
Yeah, so it was hotter than you know what out there, but so. Yeah, the Dolphins got a win, and, you know, it's one of those where they can, you know, a win can feel terrible and a loss can feel great. And my initial take on this is I've never been more disappointed in a win as a Dolphins fan in my life. They won the game thanks to the defense. You know, for really showing up and getting the they got the fumble and returned for a touchdown, and they had the interception on the first drive, which, you know, they probably could have called pass interference there, but they didn't. And then they had a fumble late in the game when New England was trying to drive down to get some points. So yeah, it's quite disturbing. This Dolphins offense that, you know, we've been told is going to have, they got all this speed now, so they're going to be super explosive, and the offensive line's going to be better, and all of this stuff, and, you know, they couldn't run the ball. I was thinking about this, like the past couple of years of, you know, when the Dolphins win a game, it seems to have the same formula, right? Number one, they get a defensive touchdown. Number two, the quarterback, you know, tries not to lose the game. You know, the offense really, really sputters, you know, and they're usually playing an average to bad quarterback. You know, that's usually what happens. That's pretty much been the formula for the last 2 years with the team when they win a game. So, yeah. So, Clark, I'll let you kick this off. You know, take it in any direction you want.
Oh God. Okay.
How do you feel about the Dolphins?
So how do I feel? I mean, just it's like disappointment, feeling like I've been suckered, and then anger at myself for how did I allow myself to start to like. And let's be honest, it's not like I necessarily really believed in this team anyway. Because if you listen to the past few podcasts leading up to the season, I've been kind of saying that I'm, you know, my fear was, I guess one of my biggest fears was that they're going to come out and it's going to look exactly like it's looked for, particularly last year, but just for the most part, how it's basically looked being a Dolphins fan for the last 2 decades, you know. But I mean, yeah, it was fun, like. We decided to get into the Dolphins first because it's just like, you know what, just rip the Band-Aid off because, you know, we don't want to wait to have to get into this because, you know, I'm kind of glad we're doing this now instead of the day of the game because I was hot yesterday. I was hot about it this morning, and now I'm not really angry about it. I've just sort of accepted it. I'm just really, really incredibly disappointed. I mean, look, when the only fireworks that happen in the game happen outside the stadium, and for those of you who aren't local and haven't heard about this, okay, apparently there were some people tailgating outside of the stadium, and their grill caught fire and caused 13 cars to get
destroyed.
I mean, to get barbecued, basically.
They left the grill on and went into the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, bro. Come on. So, so the only fireworks happen outside the stadium. But, yeah, I mean, there's so many places to go with this. Yeah, like I said, the thing that I was most afraid of is that they were going to come out and it was going to look like last year. And it looked like last year, guys, okay? they, like you said, particularly last year in the games that they won last year, you get a defensive turnover that turns into a touchdown. The offense, remember, guys, the final score was 20-7. Their offense scored 13 points. And outside of 4 or 5 plays and that long touchdown to Jalen Waddle, Tua didn't really do much of anything. Okay? Their running game didn't really do much. And I said before the season, I'm like, in order for their offense to be really good, they need to be able to run the ball and run stuff off of that. And they really didn't run the ball that well at all yesterday. They tried to do some different stuff, some misdirection in the backfield, and some of that worked okay, but if you look at the final numbers, they didn't get that many rushing yards.
They averaged about less than 3 yards a carry, I think.
Yeah. And, look, Tua, we've established that I'm out on Tua, and I think you're pretty much out on Tua, especially in terms of being an elite quarterback. But I still sort of hold out some hope that he could be on, like, the Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins level, even though he doesn't have that strong of an arm. But, I just watch him, and it's like, bro, what are you doing out there? What are you practicing? What film are you watching? Because, like, first of all, he missed the throw. Tyreek Hill was wide open on a play in the second half that would have been a touchdown, and he didn't even see him. Like, okay, what are you doing? He just threw some underneath pass. I don't know if that's because he's afraid of the offensive line being bad, so he needs to get rid of the ball really quickly, which he does need to get rid of the ball quickly. I mean, I think that is important, especially for him, but, like, you didn't even see that, so that's an opportunity you missed. He almost threw basically like 3 interceptions in the game. It's just the defense didn't catch it. I mean, the one pass to Tyreek Hill was underthrown, and Tyreek Hill fortunately stole the ball from the defender.
Yeah, that was an interception by the wide receiver.
Exactly. And then he had another play. It might have just been one other play in the second half where he threw some pass he underthrew a defender, so fortunately, he didn't catch it. And then the whole thing with him making sacks worse. And I know some of you might say, well, Josh Allen has a bad habit of doing that. Yes, but Josh Allen will then give you, 5 or 6 wow plays a game, and he'll score points and make plays throughout the game. If Tua screws up like that, he can't make it up. Okay, so the sacks, it's like, dude, and this is the same thing that happened to him in college. You're not that fast. Okay, he couldn't outrun defenders in the SEC. You can't outrun defenders in the NFL. So if they're bearing down on you, you either throw it away or you just fall down and protect the ball. Okay? Quit fucking around like this because you're not that kind of player. You need to protect the ball. You need to be smart. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, he also missed the play where Tyreek Hill was wide open in the middle of the field and he just made a bad throw. Otherwise, that could have been a touchdown. Where he threw it too far or behind him. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And, where he couldn't catch it. And, it's like those are the throws that you got to make because it's not like he's throwing it 60 yards. Like these are within, 20 yards of you. These are, throws you got to make. And they never, they never tested them down the field. He never tried to throw it over the top, which is basically, that's my criticism. Everybody says, well, no, he can do it. No, he can't. That's why they don't. If he could do it, they would. But it's not his strength, which, by the way, it's fine. Let's accept that. I think the thing that I have the biggest problem with is this is the right offense for him to be in. This is what he does well, right? Short to intermediate throws where he can, make sure the throw is accurate, get it to the guy and let him run with it. It's not a bad plan, but it feels like, to your point, this feels like the same thing as last year, just with better running backs and receivers.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
It's the same thing as last year, except just sub in Tyreek Hill for Jalen Waddle, and Tyreek Hill can get all those catches and not get that many yards and not score touchdowns that often, and it's like it's the same damn thing, So, and again, it's like, look, okay, if you can't make those kind of plays, what are we doing here? And we've had this discussion numerous times, particularly on this podcast. But if you can't make those kind of plays, what the hell are we doing here? And I said it to you earlier, like this weekend. I was like, look, what I want my quarterback to be able to do is make plays and score points. Okay, If you can't make plays, you can't score points. And if you can't score points in the NFL in 2022, you're not going to win. And scoring points isn't 13 or 17 or 20. It's 27, 31, 34. Sometimes you might need to drop 38 points to win some of these games, particularly in the AFC with the offenses you're competing against. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Chargers. Hell, the Bengals can put up points like,
Yeah,
so,
what we agree. I mean, I think the biggest my number one thing that I was looking for was what is the offensive line like, and can they run the football? And the offensive line, it's not great. I don't think it's
horrible, but it's not
right.
It's not great, but
right. It's not what you want.
Yeah, well, it's not, especially for running the ball.
Right.
And look, there's a lot of quarterbacks playing behind subpar offensive lines, and they make it work. Okay, and that's because they have sort of next level, beyond the X's and O's ability. But Tua obviously does not have that, so he needs to, he's got to play within the structure of the offense, and make. And that's the thing that's so frustrating to me. I guess that's what's so frustrating. It's like I'm watching a lot of these games and I'm seeing plays that I thought you would be able to make. Okay? And if you can't even make those plays, what are we doing here? Then you're no better than a backup quarterback.
Yeah, so that would be my criticism is I think Teddy Bridgewater can make all of the throws that Tua made yesterday. So you're right. So it's like if that's the case, then what's happening? So I think that, I think that this is a problem, obviously, but I'm willing to give them a chance to get a little bit better because I do think, offensive lines especially can get a little bit better.
Especially now they don't have padded practices really.
Right.
So over the course of the season, an offensive line can get better, and I think there's hope that this line will be better than it was last year because you can only go up after how bad their offensive line was last year.
Right. It doesn't, so yes, you could come back. So if you were going to make an argument in the positive, you would come back and say, well, they'll get better. Well, they have to. Like this is not nowhere near good enough. Like that was kind of our overriding take about yesterday. That's not even close to what you need if you want to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and also, look, guys, the Patriots are not a good team.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't get credit for beating the Patriots. This is not.
That was.
Go ahead.
That was the other shocking thing yesterday. Was it, man, boy, the Patriots have some issues.
Well,
wow.
I was even going to ask you, like, who are the worst teams in the league? And, Seattle hasn't played yet. But, outside of, hell, Detroit threw up, 35 points yesterday. So I'm kind of I still think the Bears are a bad team. But, the Patriots, they don't have talent on offense. And then they've got defensive people calling the plays. What are you guys going to do? I don't see a way out of this. And their defense doesn't have as much talent. And by the way, who cares about their defense? You can't have your calling card be your defense in 2022. Okay?
No, and their defense is not special. It's fine.
Exactly.
It's not special. It's not the Dolphins defense is much better.
Yeah.
It's not a discussion about how good your defense is.
And by the way, and let me address something else because I was on Facebook and I saw some comment on something, and it was basically there were a lot of people who were negative about the Dolphins game, and then somebody goes, "I don't understand you people. We won the game. Some of these other quarterbacks that you think are so great threw interceptions," and I'm like, "Hold on. This is the rub. This is what you guys don't understand." Okay? Did Joe Burrow throw 4 interceptions yesterday? Yes. Can he do that every game and have them win? No, he can't do that every game. But look, did he bring them back? And he basically won the game, folks. Okay, they just had an injury to the long snapper, and that screwed everything up with the kick. Okay.
And by the way, the extra point was blocked. That's not on the kicker. He probably was going to make that kick. The extra point was blocked.
It was on the snapper because he didn't get it back there in time.
Right. Right.
New.
Yeah.
So, but basically, look, even though some of these other quarterbacks will throw interceptions, they'll make plays, they'll make up for it. Joe Burrow made up for it and brought them back. Okay, and by the way, when that game came on, because I was watching the Dolphins game, and then that ended, and then they put the extra coverage in, so they put it on the Bengals Steelers game, and okay, not just people in that stadium. I know a lot of people watching that game were probably watching thinking Joe Burrow's going to bring them back and they're going to win this game, or you feel like there's a really good chance that it's going to happen, and you try to tell me that you think Tua could make the plays that Joe Burrow was making on that drive. He could make those throws, okay, and avoiding the rush and staying in the pocket and being calm and poised and just, oh, we didn't get this play or whatever. Fine, I'll just throw, I'll throw it. I'll make it on the next play. Okay. Same thing with Josh Allen. Josh Allen can make mistakes, but then he'll give you long bomb down the field, touchdown. He'll run with the ball and knock people over. Mahomes can give you interceptions, but then he'll bring you back. He could play like crap in the first half, and then play in the second half, he could kick your ass. Okay? So that's the difference. Tua doesn't have that margin for error. Okay? And also people are like, well, look at the stat line. Again, guys, you have to be careful with stats. Okay? Because if you just look at the stat line and say, oh, he played fine. And if you actually compare his stat line to Brady's stat line, it's kind of funny. They're not that far off because Brady only got like one touchdown in the game. But, I mean, come on, guys. Tell me that are you watching the Dolphins game thinking that the Dolphins are really a threat to score points? Because remember, in the first half, they had 10 points. 7 was because of that defensive touchdown. Tua only got them 3 points. Okay, and then that big play that everybody's going so nuts about, that was 4th and 7. Okay? So, there's probably other stuff that I'm missing about this, but I mean, I think we kind of covered it. I mean, the Patriots are not good. You don't get credit for beating them. This is really disappointing considering all the hype coming into the season. And before the game, I posted on Facebook, and just to let you guys know, I'm not making this pick now. I made this before the first game. I think the Dolphins are going to go 7-10 this year because I'm looking at their schedule, and I just, especially considering Tua's limitations, I think they're going 7-10. Like, I think they won this game, but then the next 3, I don't really think they're going to win. I don't think they have much of a shot, particularly because Yeah.
I was looking at the schedule after the game yesterday. Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding 6 more wins on there. It's going to be really hard.
I think they could possibly get there, but also I just think, look, Tyreek Hill's going to start getting frustrated, okay? Because, did Jalen Waddle catch a lot of balls last year? Yeah, but he barely got 1,000 yards. It's like, how do you have over 100 catches and barely get 1,000 yards?
Well, I mean, that's the scary part yesterday, Clark. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle had a pretty good amount of catches. Like, I think Tyreek Hill had like 8 catches or something. They got him the ball plenty, and that's all they scored. So that's the scary part. Like, they got the ball to the playmakers. Like, they did what they were designed to do. Now, they couldn't run the ball, so that made it more difficult. So maybe that opens up more. But that's the scary part. Like, you did what.
And by the way, look, I'm not saying that everything Tyreek Hill did in Kansas City was him running way down the field and Patrick Mahomes bombing the ball down to him.
No,
but that was some of it. And he would do some other stuff like crossing routes or slants or something where he could break it off and run for a long distance. So I'm not saying that that's everything that he does is way down the field, but I mean, guys, if the defense doesn't think that Tua can get the ball down the field, then eventually I feel like as the season goes along, they're going to be like, well, we can let Tyreek Hill get behind us. He's not going to get the ball.
Right. That's what's going to happen. Okay. Defensive coordinators are way too smart. They're going to walk everybody down near the line of scrimmage. They're going to put everybody near in the box where, or in the middle of the field to take those routes away. And what are you going to go to? Like, so that's the disturbing thing. It's like everybody's acting like, oh, well, it'll get better. Maybe. Like, there's a possibility that could get worse.
Well, and then I guess maybe the last thing I'll say, like, okay, to the people who were pushing Tua, like when he was coming out of college, Trent Dilfer, Louis Riddick, Dan Orlovsky, whoever else. I can understand it to a degree because when I've seen Tua like in the pocket, like making good throws, I'm like, okay, if you can keep doing that, then that could be really successful, right? But it seems to me that it feels like he's one of these quarterbacks, and this happens to a ton of quarterbacks coming out of college, okay? If you get everything right on the play, they're fine. You know, a lot of times they can make plays. But if you're expecting them, it's not just off script stuff, but it's basically like, you know, getting out of bad plays before you even snap the ball. And then once you snap the ball, staying calm throughout the course of the play so you can keep making plays. And it just feels like a lot of times throughout games, Tua gets, I don't know, he gets happy feet, or I don't know what you want to call it, and he stops, his mechanics break down or whatever, and then he makes a bad throw or he underthrows somebody, or, you know, I don't know. But it just seems like he gets rattled by that. And I feel like I've seen that throughout his career now, to a point where it's like, I think that's just kind of who he is. And if that's the case, I mean, like Sam Darnold, for instance, Sam Darnold had a little bit of success here and there, but that was he would kind of get rattled. The game would start moving too fast for him, and he'd screw up. He'd throw interceptions, whatever else. And now he's backing up Baker Mayfield, even though Sam Darnold had already been on that team and had the whole off season to try to still be the starting quarterback. So, yeah, I just kind of think this is kind of what he is. I think people are expecting that he's going to be more consistent throughout the game, and I just don't think that's going to happen. We're in the third year, guys. Like, when, you know, now again, that was the first game, and I am holding out a little bit of hope that he can be better than this over the course of the year. But I mean, that first game was disturbing. It's like, guys, he only scored 13 points. Again, score points and make plays. This has been the problem with the Dolphins forever. Like, they have these quarterbacks, and I'm just like, he's not scoring points. How are we supposed to win?
Yeah, I think he doesn't deal with the rush very well. Yeah. And you see him, and, you know, like the stuff, you know, as far as the play of the offense through the first three quarters, like, okay, I get it. Like, I don't have a problem. You know, he's fairly accurate, you know, especially on the shorter throws. And so, you know, he was pretty consistent, and it seemed like, you know, a lot of stuff you could say, all right, the first game. But then he did some stuff in the fourth quarter that you shouldn't be doing in your third year. Okay? He rolls out of the pocket and then just for some reason throws the ball up in the air for grabs. I don't know. Thank goodness nobody picked it off, but there was nobody there. I'm not sure what he was doing. And it's just like, you can't do that. Like, and this is a trend I saw through in college football, and I'm seeing it in the NFL. Throw the ball out of bounds, guys. I don't understand these quarterbacks. They're trying to do all this shit with the ball. It's like, throw the ball away. And then after that, he's trying to get away. He's screwing around with defensive linemen. He's trying to get away from them and throw the ball while he's being sacked. It's like, that is, like, you should be far beyond that at this point. You've had way too many starts to be doing shit like that. There's no excuses.
Well, it's just, okay. And I remember this when he was coming out of college. I remember Joel Klatt talking about this. Tua seems to think he's more athletic than he is. And they were talking about him coming out of college. And I mean, I remember seeing that in college. He would try to run away from guys and he'd get sacked. And it's like, what are you doing? Okay. And dude, you have, like, the only way you can be successful is you have to realize your limitations and play within them. And if you play consistently within your limitations, you could, you know, you're never going to be an elite quarterback, but you could keep winning games. But if you're going to keep getting rattled like this, and then you're going to miss throws that are there that you should be able to make, we're done. Okay, we're done.
It's one thing to miss throws. It's another thing, like you said, to not protect the ball. And that's the disturbing part. Those are the things that you cannot do. Okay? There's a reason that Carson Wentz is not in Indianapolis anymore. It's because of stupid crap like that. You're getting tackled and you're trying to throw the ball anyway. So anyway, we could go on and on, but that's all I wanted to hit. Look, we'll see what happens in the next 3 games, because their offensive line wasn't great in that game, but that was against the Patriots defense. It's going to be different when you play Baltimore and Buffalo and Cincinnati. Okay.
Like I said, if they can run the ball, I think they have a chance. But if they can't run the ball and it's all on Tua, I don't like it.
I noticed something in the game last night with Tampa and Dallas. So Tampa, I guess their left tackle had to go out. I don't know if he came back or not, but he left, and it was immediate. It was immediately the Cowboys were like, okay, put Micah Parsons on the backup left tackle. Boom, sack. So the problem for the Dolphins is, and they had 2 offensive linemen get hurt yesterday, so we'll see what happens with that. But even if, let's say, Armstead's good at the left tackle, if he's your only good offensive lineman, what are defenses going to do? They're going to like, okay, so let's put our best pass rusher on the right tackle, and we'll just destroy him all day. So you can't hide on the offensive line. You can't hide. It's not like, oh, well, we don't know if they may never go to that, so it really don't matter. No, teams are going to see on film what to do.
Right, and then it comes down to you as the quarterback. You have to adjust your protection. You got to slide the offensive line over. You got to have a back come back into the backfield to like chip the defender. I mean, plus there has to be play calling, but there is stuff that you have to do as the quarterback. You have to understand stuff, and you got to play within that. And obviously this is really difficult to do. Playing quarterback in the NFL is tough, but you got to make it happen.
And remember, last year, I think it was the second or third week, is when Buffalo came. They came with a free rusher off the edge and broke his ribs. So, that we have to worry about that too. But anyway, all right. So we'll see what happens. But
talk about the Cowboys.
Yeah, we're not impressed by the first Dolphins game. I'm really like I said, I've never been more disappointed in a win in my life. So. Yeah. We'll see how it goes, but it was that was disturbing that you've had this whole thing, you've had this whole off season, and you got all this talent now, and that's what you come out with. But we'll see what happens.